I've been asked to tell you a little bit about myself, my family, and our story. I'm an LA native. I grew up in the Valley. After college, I moved to Miracle Mile and worked in Hollywood. I was a post supervisor of TV shows and movies. I produced some documentaries, worked on hundreds of trailers and web videos. I thought I had it made. Unfortunately, life took a little turn in 2014 when the trailer company I worked at went through their own struggles. I was downsized out of my job. I thought we'd be fine because I was a guy with 25 years in Hollywood. Surely someone would want that experience, right? I told my wife not to worry. And I didn't worry. I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to write a new chapter in my career. I spent the days sending out resumes, contacted old colleagues, and got through the holiday season looking forward to what 2015 had to offer. But no one called. The resumes kept going out with fewer and fewer responses. I mean, I had a pretty good career. Lots of contacts, and I was okay at my job. Pretty good, I thought. Who wouldn't want that? Evidently no one. Because before I knew it, I'd sent out hundreds of resumes, and yeah, I did get some interviews. In fact, one right over there from MacGyver, but no one hired me. I had a family, and you gotta provide. My wife was earning a little, not enough, so I went to the county and applied for all the public assistance I qualified for. My job drought continued though. Soon, my wife started looking at me differently. My kids were asking, "Dad, why can't you find a job?" It was devastating, and then we couldn't even pay our rent anymore. A few months later, we were evicted and officially homeless. You know, it's a tough word to use when you've always had a home. None of us wanted to say it aloud, and without any options, I had to put everything in storage, and we began the next chapter in our lives. We were totally reliant on the county programs, and of course, there was a lot of requirements, a ton of paperwork, and classes showing me how to write a resume and how to dress appropriately for an interview. Thanks. I'd fallen to my lowest point. Despite how bleak our situation was, I tried to keep my family's routine as regular as possible. We started out bouncing from a friend's apartment to my sister's house, but we couldn't stay there permanently, so we headed to hotels, motels, and finally ended up in a transitional housing facility in Santa Monica, the four of us sharing a tiny one-bedroom apartment. Our oldest son was finishing up middle school, and since we never knew where we'd be staying, we continued shuttling him into John Burroughs every day. The stress was too much for him, and he went from being a B student down to all D's and fails. Our youngest, he was 8. To be honest, he thought this whole thing was just some big crazy adventure. He even bragged about being homeless to his friends at school so they give him some of their lunches.
No.
To be honest, I think he milked it a little too much. And my wife, she stepped up. She took advantage of another county program and went back to school to become a pharmacy technician. She finished tops in her class, quickly found an externship at Walgreens, but it was unpaid at first. I had to take a job downtown at the county courthouse in their Kinko's department, making $9 an hour. And since I'd lost my car, I was now taking the metro to and from work. Then I'd pick up the kids from school and we'd all take a bus back to whatever hotel we were staying at. This led to many sleepless nights, and to be frank, there were very many heated discussions about what the future held for us and for when we'd have a home again. My family was fracturing, but I kept telling myself, and this is the important part, we will not be defined by this. That said, we could have never done it alone. At Big Sunday, I was first contacted by Bernice. Where is she? I told her about my family, how we'd gotten into this mess, and how I was determined to fix it. Maybe something I said resonated with her because she offered to help out of her own pocket to pay for a couple more nights at the Cucaracha Inn right over here on Van Ness, across the street. because all our county assistance was gone. When I sat down with David, we talked about everything. He's really a great listener. The compassion he showed me was overwhelming. He didn't even know me, and I'm sure there was a lot of other people he could be helping or who needed more than us or who had less. He saw how hard I was working to keep my family together, and he just saw me as a guy who was trying to right the ship. When I finished telling him my story, the first thing he said to me was, "How can I make things better right now?" We were behind in my wife's car payments. Big Sunday covered them. And then, because my job at the courthouse was ending, he helped me find work through Big Sunday's Thank God It's Work program, which allowed me to use all those office skills I had acquired working 30 years in offices, which eventually led to the position I have now at a maintenance company that works for the courthouses throughout Southern California. Not exactly the industry I was expecting to be in, but after sending out over 600 resumes, it was nice to feel wanted again. I'm now the office manager, and I'm appreciated for my skills once again. And last month, we were finally able to move into our own apartment after bouncing around for a year. It's nice to have a home again, and to sleep in my own bed, and to pay rent. Honestly, it's not that great to pay rent. Most importantly, our son, the oldest, he turned his situation around. He finished his first semester at Santa Monica High School with all A's and B's. We're so proud of him. Thank you. And our youngest, he continues to amaze me. Nothing distracts him as long as we have Wi-Fi. Like I said, I wasn't going to let our situation define me, but what it did show me is how generous people really are. So for me to stand here and tell you how incredible these people are at Big Sunday, that's very easy. Thank you, David. Thank you, Big Sunday, and thanks to all of you for your time. Have a great evening.